Picture this. Travis Hunter, the college football phenom everybody's been talking about, doesn't walk into a stadium, doesn't walk into a locker room, but instead steps through the glass doors of one of the biggest sock companies in the world. Yeah, socks. Sounds simple, right? But what went down inside that building has fans buzzing, families whispering, and the internet in absolute chaos. Because what was supposed to be a fun tour, something lighthearted, maybe even inspirational, quickly spiraled into something so much bigger. Rumors of shady business deals, heated arguments behind closed doors, and even whispers of betrayal between Travis and people he thought he could trust. And let's not forget the so-called giveaway that had fans lined up around the block, only for everything to flip upside down. Eyewitnesses said emotions ran high, voices were raised. And what Travis found out during this visit left him questioning not just a company, but his entire circle. Was this just a publicity stunt gone wrong? Or did Travis Hunter accidentally uncover secrets the sock empire never wanted exposed? Stick around, cause what I'm about to tell you is wilder than any game-winning touchdown you've ever seen. Travis Hunter stepped out of the black SUV with the kind of energy that usually comes before kickoff, not before a sock factory tour. Cameras were already flashing, fans were holding handmade posters with his name scribbled across them, and security guards struggled to keep the crowd from rushing forward. You'd think this was a playoff game, but no, this was supposed to be a calm, controlled visit to one of the biggest sock companies in the world. Instead, it felt like the red carpet at an award show, mixed with the tension of a family argument waiting to explode. As Travis smiled for the cameras, there was something off about his expression, almost like he was forcing the excitement. Close friends later whispered that he'd gotten a call earlier that morning. A call that rattled him so deeply that the smile plastered on his face was just for show. Inside the company's glass doors, executives lined up, clapping like they were welcoming royalty. Banners reading, "Welcome Travis Hunter," hung across the lobby. But behind those grins and polished handshakes, there was a storm brewing. "Travis, so glad you're here," said one of the executives, a tall man in a slick gray suit. "Today is going to be unforgettable. We've prepared something special." Travis nodded, his jaw tightening slightly. "I just hope it's worth the trip. A lot of people are counting on this." Those words weren't casual, they were loaded. The fans outside were buzzing about the promised giveaway, where hundreds of lucky people were supposed to walk away with exclusive socks signed by Travis himself. But rumors swirled on Twitter that the company didn't have nearly enough socks ready. And if that was true, a massive fallout was only minutes away. As the tour began, Travis was ushered through glossy hallways with giant posters of athletes wearing socks like they were diamonds. It was all smiles until they reached the production floor. The machines whirred loudly, and workers glanced nervously at the cameras trailing behind. One worker muttered under his breath, "They don't want him to see the real side of this place." Travis stopped mid-step, turning sharply. "What did you say?" The worker froze, realizing he'd spoken too loud. Before he could answer, a manager swooped in, laughing nervously. "Oh, don't mind him. He just gets nervous around celebrities. Let's keep moving." But Travis didn't move. His eyes locked on the worker, who looked torn between fear and desperation. Finally, the worker whispered, "They've been cutting corners, man. The socks they're giving away aren't what they say they are." Gasps rippled through the small entourage. And suddenly, the glossy tours felt more like a trap. Fans outside had no clue that inside, Travis had just been handed a secret that could shatter the company's reputation. "What do you mean they're not what they say they are?" Travis demanded, his voice rising. The manager interjected quickly. "Travis, let's not cause a scene. The cameras are rolling. Everything is fine," but Travis wasn't backing down. "Nah, if there's something shady going on, I want to know. I put my name on this. My fans are outside waiting. They trust me. So, what's the truth?" The worker glanced at the cameras, then at Travis. His lips trembled, and finally he said it. "The socks are knockoffs. They've been using cheaper materials, but selling them like they're premium. That giveaway out there, half those boxes are filled with rejects." Suddenly, the room felt colder. The executive's smiles vanished and whispers filled the air. One woman in a red blazer tried to smooth things over, saying, "Travis, don't listen to this nonsense. He's just disgruntled. We've got everything under control." But Travis's gut told him otherwise. The workers' eyes were too honest, too desperate. And then, as if on cue, a young intern stumbled into the room holding a clipboard, whispering frantically to another staff member, "We don't have enough boxes. The numbers don't add up. We're short by hundreds." The words slipped out louder than intended, and everyone froze. The cameras caught every detail, the shock on Travis's face, the panic among the staff, the sweat dripping from the manager's forehead. "Short by hundreds." Travis repeated slowly, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. "You promised my fans a giveaway. You used my name, my face, to bring them here. And now you're telling me it's a scam." The gray-suited executive tried to calm him. "Let's take this conversation privately. Travis, we can work something out. We're all on the same team here." But that phrase, "same team," set Travis off. "No, we're not on the same team if you're lying to people who support me. I didn't come here to play games." Behind him, the cameras zoomed in, capturing every word. The tension was explosive. Social media would be in flames the moment this footage leaked. Just then, another twist dropped like a bomb. One of Travis's closest friends, Marcus, who had come along for support, stepped forward and spoke up. "Bro, you need to know something. They offered me money last week to keep you quiet if this got out." I didn't want to believe it, but now it makes sense. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, accusations, it was chaos. Executives pointed fingers, some swearing Marcus was lying, others shouting that the worker should be fired immediately. Travis turned to Marcus, his voice shaking. "You knew about this. You didn't tell me." Marcus's eyes dropped to the floor. "I didn't know if it was real, man. I didn't want to ruin this for you. I thought maybe they'd fix it before today." The betrayal stung worse than anything else. Fans could see the conflict in Travis's eyes, anger, hurt, disbelief. Not only was the company hiding a scam, but his own friend had kept a secret that could have saved him from walking straight into disaster. The noise grew unbearable. And finally, Travis shouted, "Enough." His voice echoed through the factory, silencing everyone. "If you think I'm going to let this slide, you don't know me at all. I'm not about to let my name be tied to lies." The executives exchanged panicked glances, realizing their carefully staged event was spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, workers whispered to each other, some nodding in agreement with Travis. It was clear this wasn't just about socks anymore. It was about trust, loyalty, and betrayal, as tensions boiled. One executive leaned in close to another and muttered something that wasn't meant to be heard. But Travis caught it. "We can't let him walk out of here. Not after all this." The words hit like a thunderclap. What did they mean by that? Was it just frustration or something darker? Travis's chest tightened, and suddenly the room didn't feel safe. Fans were still outside cheering, oblivious to the storm brewing inside. And then, as if the drama couldn't climb any higher, the fire alarm suddenly blared, flashing red lights across the factory. Workers scattered, executives shouted, and the cameras were still rolling. Travis stood frozen for a second, realizing this day had just taken another shocking turn, one that nobody was prepared for. He looked at Marcus, his face a mix of fury and disappointment. "You better start telling me everything you know right now, because I'm done being played." And just like that, the tour was no longer about socks or giveaways. It was about survival, truth, and a storm of betrayal that was only beginning to unfold. The piercing fire alarm echoed through the entire building, its shrill cry bouncing off every wall and drowning out the chaos of voices. Workers bolted for the exits, their footsteps pounding against the concrete floor. Security guards barked orders, waving their arms to guide people outside, but the executives weren't moving. They huddled together, whispering frantically, shooting nervous glances at Travis like he was the enemy instead of the guest of honor. Travis didn't budge either. He stood tall, his fists clenched, the red flashing lights painting his face in a way that made him look both furious and determined. Marcus tugged at his arm, shouting over the noise, "Bro, we need to get out of here." But Travis yanked his arm free. "Not until I get answers. I'm not leaving until somebody explains what's really going on." The worker who had spilled the truth earlier ran past them, pausing for just a second. "They'll try to cover it up, man. They always do. If you walk out now, we'll never hear the full story." His voice cracked with urgency before he disappeared into the rushing crowd. The gray-suited executive stormed forward, his face flushed. "Travis, listen to me. This is not the place or the time. We can handle this situation privately. These cameras don't need to capture your anger. Think about your image." Travis snapped back, his voice sharp and unshakable. "My image? You're worried about my image while you're scamming the very people who believe in me. The people standing outside waiting for those socks right now?" The executive's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, the fire alarm cut off as suddenly as it had started. The silence that followed was almost eerie. Whispers filled the space again, tension thick enough to choke on. Then, in that silence, a woman's voice rang out. "You think the fans don't know? They already found out." Everyone turned. It was the intern with the clipboard, the same one who had revealed the shortage. She held up her phone, showing a Twitter feed exploding with posts. Tweets screamed, "Sock company scam exposed, fans cheated, and Travis betrayed." Hashtags with Travis's name were already trending. Somehow, the news had leaked faster than the smoke from a fire. Travis's stomach dropped. How did they find out so fast? The intern's eyes darted nervously toward the executives. Because someone from inside posted it. Someone who wanted the truth out. Gasps rippled across the room. The executives immediately turned on one another, pointing fingers, their polished personas unraveling into chaos. One of them shouted, "It was you, wasn't it?" While another snapped back, "Don't you dare accuse me. You're the one who's been worried about profits." Marcus whispered urgently, "This is getting dangerous, man. You're in the middle of a war you didn't start." But Travis shook his head. "No, this is about my fans. I can't walk away." Then came another twist that left everyone stunned. One of the executives slammed a folder onto a table, shoving it toward Travis. "You think you're innocent in all this? Check the contracts you signed. You're already tied to this company. Your name, your image, your signature, it's all in here. If this goes down, you're going down with us." Travis froze, flipping through the papers. His eyes scanned the lines of legal jargon, his heart pounding harder with every word. And then he saw his own signature at the bottom of a page that bound him to a promotional deal. The date was weeks earlier, but he had no memory of signing it. "This is fake," Travis said, his voice trembling with rage. "I never signed this." "You did," the executive insisted smugly. "Or maybe your friend signed it for you. Either way, you're locked in." All eyes shifted to Marcus. His face went pale. "Don't look at me like that. I didn't sign anything," but the hesitation in his voice planted seeds of doubt. Travis's anger boiled over. "Marcus, did you? Tell me the truth right now." Marcus threw his hands up defensively. "I swear I didn't sign nothing. But I did let them take some papers a while back. They said it was routine, just a standard check for appearances. I didn't think it mattered. The betrayal sliced deeper than before." Travis stepped back, shaking his head. "You let them use my name? You didn't even check." Marcus's voice cracked. "I thought I was helping you, man. I didn't want to slow things down." Fans would later replay this moment endlessly, analyzing every flicker of emotion in Travis's eyes. The disbelief, the fury, the heartbreak was all there. The intern spoke again, her voice trembling but clear. "They've been planning this for months. They wanted your face to sell their product, even if it meant forging things. The giveaway was just bait." Travis slammed the folder shut and threw it onto the table. "So what, I'm supposed to just sit here while you drag my name through the mud?" "Nah, I'm not going down with you." The gray-suited executive leaned in close, lowering his voice to a threatening whisper. You don't understand, Travis. You walk away now, and we'll make sure the world thinks you were part of this from the start. You'll lose your fans, your endorsements, your career, everything." The room went dead silent. The weight of those words crushed down like a hammer. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the older workers, a woman with tired eyes and calloused hands, stepped forward. "He's not the one lying. We've all seen what goes on here. If Travis walks out, we'll back him. We're done keeping quiet." Others nodded in agreement, their voices rising in support. The loyalty of the workers shifted the balance in the room. The executives, once powerful and intimidating, now looked cornered. Marcus whispered urgently, "You got people on your side now, bro? But you need to act fast. Before they spin this against you." Travis straightened his shoulders, his voice strong again. "Then let's go tell the truth. Not behind closed doors, not in some staged press release. We'll go out there right now and tell the fans exactly what's happening." The executives panicked, shouting over each other. "You can't do that. We'll sue." "Security, stop him." But security hesitated. Some guards exchanged uncertain looks, clearly unwilling to go against the man who had inspired millions, the man whose fans were screaming his name outside those very doors. Travis began walking toward the exit, determination in every step. Marcus followed, guilt written all over his face, but unwilling to leave his friend's side. The workers trailed behind, murmuring their support. The cameras followed too, capturing every second dot just as Travis reached for the door handle. A voice rang out from behind him. "Travis, if you walk out there, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Regret it for the rest of your life." He froze, turning slowly to see who had spoken. It wasn't an executive this time. It was someone unexpected. His cousin Darius, who had been quietly observing from the sidelines, stepped forward. Darius was family, blood, someone Travis had trusted all his life. "What are you talking about?" Travis asked, his tone sharp with suspicion. Darius's eyes darkened. "Because if you expose them, you're exposing me too. I've been tied up in this company for longer than you know. And if you go through with this, you're not just destroying them, you're destroying me." The room went silent again, but this silence was heavier, darker. Fans outside still chanted his name, but inside? Travis was staring at a betrayal that cut deeper than business deals and forged contracts. This was family. The choice before him was brutal. Protect his cousin or stand by the fans who trusted him. Either way, lives were about to change forever. Travis stared at Darius as if the world had shifted beneath his feet. The factory buzzed around them, but the moment felt suspended, like the air itself was holding its breath. Darius's confession landed like a weight. He hadn't been expecting family ties wrapped up in a corporate lie. The betrayal stung in a different way now. It wasn't just about a scam or a giveaway gone wrong. It was about trust shattered where it mattered most. "You knew?" Travis asked, the words small and heavy. "You knew they were doing this and you didn't tell me?" Darius's shoulders sagged. "I knew enough. I tried to fix it quietly. I thought if I could handle it, no one would get hurt. I never wanted your name dragged through the mud." Marcus stepped forward, his voice raw. "Bro, we could have handled this another way. Why did you get tangled up with people like that?" Darius looked at Marcus with a flash of anger. "Don't act like you're innocent here. You were the one who let them bring those papers in." The argument spiraled, voices overlapping, each accusation landing like another blow. Outside, the shouts of fans had grown louder, a tidal roar that reminded Travis of what was at stake. "Fans are shocked," social feeds would say, and they were right. This was bigger than a product controversy. This was personal. "This is why families break," muttered one of the workers who had been watching from the sidelines. Emotions ran high, and somebody always gets hurt. Travis felt every eye on him, every expectation pressing down. He knew that whatever he did next would ripple outward, not just through headlines, but into people's lives. His mind raced, trying to calculate the damage control, the fallout. If he exposed everything, Darius could be ruined, the family torn apart. If he stayed silent, his own integrity would be shredded. Either path tasted like fire. "I'm not going to let you use me to hide things," Travis said, turning back to Darius. "If you helped them, if you covered for them, you need to say it. The fans deserve the truth." Darius's face crumpled. "I did what I thought was best. I didn't imagine they'd go this far." The cameras were merciless. Every micro-expression broadcast to an audience hungry for drama. The producers watching from a control room probably couldn't believe the content. They were getting real conflict, raw emotions, a family divided live on camera. The temptation to spin this into a ratings bonanza was as obvious as the blinking red light on a recording device. "This is spiraling," one executive hissed. "Trying to corral the chaos? We can stage a controlled statement. Get Travis on board and we'll handle the rest." But Travis wasn't interested in staged statements. "I don't do lies, not for a press release, not for money. My fans are out there because they trust me." The family was left divided. "And I can't be the reason another person gets hurt because you don't want the truth out." At that moment, a different kind of voice entered the fray, a voice from outside the company. A group of fans had somehow pushed through the barricades and were standing near the entrance. Their faces flushed, their signs high. Among them was a woman holding a toddler, her eyes wide with tears. She shouted, "Travis, we believed in you. If they lied to us, we want to know." The sight of earnest supporters, of real people who'd traveled for this giveaway, dismantled any remaining hesitation Travis might have had. These were the faces that mattered, not shareholders or Sutantai executives. The family was left divided, but the fans had remained united in their expectation of honesty. Double quotes, "Tell them," someone urged. "Tell the fans what you know." Travis looked at Marcus, at Darius, and then at the workers who had pledged their support. He weighed each life, each friendship, each promise. It felt impossible to choose. Suddenly, a harsh sound cut through the unmistakable ding of a phone notification. Travis's phone vibrated in his hand. A live stream had started. Someone from the crowd was broadcasting everything. Viewers were already watching, comments flooding in with judgments and heart emojis, conspiracy theories and prayers. The leak had turned the event into a public trial. The executive's worst fear had come true. There was no controlling the narrative now. Whatever Travis said would be dissected in real time. And the company's attempts at damage control would be noticed and criticized. The power dynamics had shifted. What used to be behind closed doors was now in full view. "We need to be smart," Travis said finally, his voice steady but fierce. "I'm going to speak to the fans. I'm going to tell them what I know and what I don't. If people want answers, they deserve them straight. Number spin, no lies." The executives protested, legal threats tumbling out like clumsy defenses. But the workers formed a human chain, physically blocking any attempt to stop Travis. The solidarity stunned everyone. People who had been invisible in the corporate ladder were suddenly the backbone of the moment. Workers chanted softly, their voices building into a chorus. "Truth, truth." Darius stepped in front of Travis. Desperation etched across his face. "If you go out there, you're killing me," he pleaded. "This is my life too." Travis's eyes softened for a split second. "You should have thought of that before you put my name on the line then." Without another word, Travis pushed through the crowd and toward the entrance. The live stream of the crowd surged, viewers multiplying by the second. Outside, the fans sensed the shift and quieted in anticipation. When Travis emerged, the cameras captured him in a halo of fluorescent factory light. His expression a mixture of exhaustion and resolve. He stepped onto a small platform someone had hastily assembled. And the silence that followed was heavy. The woman with the toddler was there, the interns, the workers, the fans, everyone holding their breath. Travis pulled the microphone close, his voice reverberating with sincerity. "I came here today because I wanted to do something good for the fans. I wanted to give back. What I found was not what I expected. There are things here that make me uncomfortable, and I won't stand for it." Gasps swept through the crowd. Fans are shocked. The comments on the live stream read, and they were. Travis continued, laying out the accusations. Forged documents, cheap materials, promises broken. He didn't have all the answers, and he admitted it. He called for an independent audit for accountability for the executives who had hidden things to step forward. He asked the fans for patience and promised transparency. But then, in a move nobody expected, Travis did something risky. He invited the workers up to speak. One by one, men and women with worn hands and clear eyes told stories of years of being ignored, safety corners cut, of being told not to speak to the media. The testimonies were raw and heartbreaking. Emotions ran high as each person revealed their truth. And the crowd responded with thunderous applause and tears as the testimonies poured out. The corporate veneer cracked further. Investors who had once appeared untouchable were reduced to anxious murmurs. Legal teams started to strategize, but their plans felt small against the tide of public sentiment. The live stream numbers exploded. Hashtags trended. Podcasts replayed clips. Late-night hosts queued up sound bites. The story took on a life of its own, growing wings and flying far beyond the factory walls. Darius watched from the sidelines, his face pale, and for the first time, the weight of his choices settled on him. Marcus stood beside Travis, guilt and loyalty warring across his features. Some fans who had once cheered now sobbed, not in anger but with relief that someone was finally listening. Other fans, however, were ruthless. They wanted blood, accountability, and punishment for anyone who had betrayed their trust. What happens now? One fan cried, voice cracking. Do we get refunds? Do we get justice? Travis met her gaze. We'll fight for it. But first, we need the truth. We need evidence. We need the people responsible to come forward. The executives retreated into huddles, their plans growing more frantic. Lawsuits were threatened. Non-disclosure agreements waved like thin shields. But the momentum had shifted. This was no longer a story they could press into a neat corporate apology. It was a movement fueled by outrage and loyalty, by workers' courage and fans' refusal to be lied to. As night crept in and the floodlights bathed the parking lot, headlines were already forming. Some would call Travis a hero. Others would brand him reckless. The family was left divided, and the aftermath would be messy. But in that charged electric air, something new was born. A reckoning, messy and loud, where ordinary people found their voices and a star decided to stand with them rather than above them. The consequences would be enormous, but for the first time that day, Travis felt like he was on the side of truth, and that felt right, even if it meant everything else might fall apart. The parking lot buzzed like a stadium moments before overtime, a restless energy that refused to settle. Travis stood firm on that makeshift platform, the crowd's chants ebbing and flowing like waves crashing against rocks. Phones glowed in the darkness, recording every twitch of his expression. The night was alive with suspense, but inside the factory walls, the tension was venomous. Executives whispered behind closed doors, their voices sharp and jagged. Darius hovered at the edge of the crowd, his face illuminated by the harsh glow of the cameras. His body language screamed conflict, half desperate to step forward. Travis noticed him, his jaw tightening. Family wasn't supposed to feel like an opponent, yet here they were, torn apart in front of thousands watching live. Marcus leaned toward Travis, his voice low but urgent. Bro, you've made your stand, but these people won't stop. They're gonna come after you, after me, after anyone tied to this. You need a plan. Travis exhaled, his chest heavy. I'm not backing down. I can't. Not after what they tried to do. But Marcus, Darius knew. He knew and said nothing. The crowd seemed to sense the private tension. Whispers spread like wildfire. His cousins involved. His family's part of it. The fans' loyalty trembled on the edge of a knife, ready to tip one way or the other. Suddenly, the gray-suited executive stormed out, flanked by security. His tie was loose, his hair disheveled, and his carefully groomed mask of control had cracked. He shouted over the noise, his voice raw with fury. This circus ends now. Travis, you don't know what you've gotten yourself into. If you keep talking, you'll drag your family down with you. Darius, tell him the truth before it's too late. Every phone camera pivoted instantly to Darius. He looked like a man cornered, sweat dripping down his temples, eyes darting between Travis and the executive. Tell me what? Travis demanded, his voice cutting through the crowd like a blade. Darius's lips parted, but no sound came out. The crowd chanted louder, the pressure unbearable. Finally, his voice cracked out in a whisper that still managed to echo. I signed the first deal. Not you, me. I used your name because they said it would save the company. I thought I could protect you from the fallout. I thought I was saving us. Gasps exploded from every direction. Fans clutched their faces, workers shook their heads. Okay. And Marcus muttered under his breath, unbelievable. Travis felt his knees weaken. Betrayal from executives was one thing, but from blood it cut deeper than anything else. You forged my name, he said, disbelief dripping from every syllable. Darius's face crumpled. I didn't know it would turn into this. I thought it was temporary, that I could fix it before you ever found out. The crowd erupted in chaos. Some fans screamed in anger, others wept openly, and still others demanded that Darius be arrested on the spot. Emotions ran high, the family was left divided, and for a moment it felt like the entire world had turned upside down. The gray-suited executive seized the moment, pointing triumphantly at Travis. You see? Your own family is tied up in this. You can't walk away clean. If we go down, you go down too. But Travis's eyes burned with a fire that hadn't dimmed all night. He raised the microphone again, his voice trembling but steady. Yeah, my cousin made a mistake. He let himself get trapped. But I didn't sign anything. I didn't lie to my fans. I won't take the fall for choices I didn't make. Workers cheered, fans roared, but the executives weren't done yet. One of them pulled out a folder and waved it in the air. Contracts don't lie. If you think you can talk your way out of this, you're wrong. The media will eat you alive. They'll see you as greedy, as careless, as guilty by association. Travis shook his head. Let them. Because I know who I am, and I know what my fans deserve. I'd rather lose everything than live as a fraud. The statement landed like thunder. The crowd erupted, chanting his name over and over, drowning out the executives' frantic protests. The live stream exploded with comments. Travis is a hero. Stand strong. Betrayal hurts, but truth wins. Amid the chaos, Marcus stepped onto the platform, his guilt finally spilling over. I need to say something too. I should have warned you. I should have told you about the money they waved in my face. I was scared, I was weak, and I let you down. I'll carry that shame, but I won't stay quiet anymore. The admissions stunned the crowd even further. Now, two of Travis's closest people had confessed, both admitting their roles in the mess. Fans were torn, some sympathetic, others furious. The fractures in his circle were plain for all to see. The family and friends around him split apart by lies, temptations, and corporate greed. Travis gripped the mic tighter, his voice rising above the noise. This is what happens when people chase power and profit instead of honesty. I've been betrayed by my friend, by my cousin, by the very people who said they had my back. But I'm not backing down. I'll fight for the truth, even if I have to fight alone. The declaration was electric. Workers began chanting his name. Fans raised their signs higher, and the tide of public sentiment turned into a tidal wave. Executives retreated, their threats drowned out by the sheer force of the crowd. Yet the personal cost was undeniable. Darius stood in tears, the reality of his betrayal breaking him apart. Marcus lingered close, his shoulders slumped with regret. The family was left divided, friendships strained. And nothing would ever be the same again as police arrived to manage the swelling crowd. Reporters swarmed, microphones shoved toward Travis. Questions flew like arrows. Will you sue the company? Will you press charges against your cousin? Are you worried about your career? Travis didn't answer directly. Instead, he looked into the cameras and said, "The truth is messy, but the truth is worth it. Tonight isn't about socks anymore. It's about trust. It's about standing up when everyone else wants you to stay quiet. And I'm not going anywhere. The night ended in chaos, fans chanting, executives scrambling, police controlling the exits. But the footage had already gone viral, reaching millions who hadn't even known about the tour until now. Podcasts debated it, late-night hosts joked about it, and fans around the world took sides. Some mourned the broken family ties. Others celebrated Travis's courage. In the days that followed, investigations launched, lawsuits were filed, and endorsements hung in the balance. Darius disappeared from the public eye. Marcus vowed to earn back trust, and workers at the company demanded change. But one thing was clear. Travis Hunter's stand had shaken one of the biggest sock companies in the world to its core. And through it all, fans remained divided but captivated. Was Travis a hero, a victim, or simply caught in the crossfire of greed and betrayal? Only time would tell, but one truth remained undeniable. This was no ordinary tour. This was a reality TV-level drama, a spectacle of loyalty, lies, and shocking revelations that left the world watching, waiting, and whispering about what would happen next. And just like that, what began as a simple factory tour turned into one of the wildest nights in Travis Hunter's career. A supposed giveaway became a full-blown storm of accusations, betrayals, and heartbreak. Executives exposed, workers speaking their truths. Fans torn between outrage and admiration, and in the middle of it all, Travis himself, standing firm for honesty when it would have been easier to stay silent. But the drama doesn't end here. Darius's confession still lingers in the air. Marcus's guilt still weighs heavy. And the company's next move remains a mystery. Will there be lawsuits? Will the family ever reconcile? Will Travis's career rise even higher after this? Or will the weight of betrayal drag him down? Fans are shocked. The family is divided, and the story is far from over. Now, this is where you come in. What do you think? Did Travis do the right thing by exposing the truth, even if it meant turning against his own cousin? Should Marcus and Darius be forgiven, or is the damage too deep to repair? And what about the sock company? Do you think they'll survive the backlash? Or is this the end of their empire? We want to hear your thoughts, your theories, and your takes on every twist of this story. Drop a comment down below, because this conversation is just getting started. And if you were hooked by this roller coaster of drama, don't forget to hit that like button, smash the subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in this wild saga. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. This isn't just news. This is reality TV turned real life, and you're part of it. So join the discussion, make your voice heard, and stay tuned because the drama is only getting bigger.